Today, we are doing a segment called Edit My Photos. Scottalexmills. If you guys have not followed him on Instagram or seen his work, quite an amazing landscape photographer. And he redeemed the Edit My Photos reward. So yesterday we edited his photos on stream. Today he gets to critique how I edited his photos. He's gonna show us his edits and then walk us through his process. The whole goal of this segment of our stream, guys, is not to compare the edits, but to compare our edits to the raw. All right, because we all know that you guys, we all have different editing styles. Yes, we do. And so the whole goal of this segment is to learn, okay, Scott is gonna show us things that he did with his images. To me, maybe I never thought of doing that, and vice versa, right? Maybe I'll do something that he never thought of doing himself. And for you guys in the audience, for you able to watch, I think it's really awesome to be able to do this. So that being said, okay, chat academy, everyone give it up for Mr. Scottalexmills. All right, there we go. There we are. What's up? So why don't you go ahead and tell us who you are, how long you've been shooting for, all that good stuff.
So I'm Scottalexmills. That's just my name. I grew up in Portland, Oregon. Started shooting with my dad's film camera when I was 10 years old. Shot in film for years, gave it up in college. Came back to it a couple years ago because of Instagram. Was on a trip and my cousin showed me Instagram and I was like, oh my gosh, there's actually people doing photography. Got back into it, got a Canon 60, my beginner camera, still shooting with that. I moved down to Orange County about 6 months ago for a job. Now I'm down here cruising around.
Speaking of Instagram, can you just type in the chat your Instagram or like get the link?
It's the same as my name. So
okay.
Just Scottalexmills.
Okay, cool. And then do you have a website as well?
No, I don't know. I don't even sell prints. I basically shoot strictly for Instagram.
Wow. That's really cool.
It's just, I think it's more about community. Like when I go shoot, I don't like to shoot alone. I shoot with people now. So everything is all about community, being social, all of that. Like is way more exciting to me now than like anything that I could do on my own.
So let's just pull on that thread real quick before we get into all the editing photos and stuff, because we had a really good conversation the other day about like Instagram and followers and like influence and stuff like that. How long have you been on Instagram?
Yeah, no, I mean I've only been on Instagram for 2 years. So
whoa.
They say that Instagram is like you get from 0 to 10K is like really difficult, and then the growth starts to happen like really quickly.
Yeah.
But for me, Instagram, like I wouldn't have found this community without Instagram. So all of my photographer friends, like my roommate now, my job came from Instagram, like everything.
That's insane.
Like I owe so much to Instagram, but also like Instagram is not the end all be all of life, right? So like social media, I don't know if they just came out with the Netflix documentary on this, but like you can't let social media be crazy, but at the same time, like it's getting me all these friends and you can use it in a really positive way.
Wow.
So
what's the documentary called?
Oh, it's something about, it's like the social experiment or the social dilemma. I can't remember.
I have to check it out.
But it's all about social media and the negative impacts. But there's also these really positive things that can come from it if you're aware of, internet. I mean, Twitch came from Instagram for me. There's some really positive things that can come from that. And Twitch is definitely one of those positive things. Like I wouldn't have found Twitch without Instagram. So
how'd you happen upon the Academy?
I actually have been looking to get onto Twitch, and I was looking for photography community specifically because I wanted to see if anybody was editing photos.
Yeah.
and I don't know, I just stumbled across it.
Nice.
And
Nice.
got it.
Yeah, dude. You know, the photography on Instagram, on Twitch, no, sorry, photography on Twitch is interesting because, well, first off, Twitch's discoverability is just horse crap. And then it doesn't compare to Instagram or YouTube or anything like that. And so even for me, when I started, I was looking and I didn't even find shoe searching around. I found like this one that was like 8 years old, and it was just literally a guy scrolling through images in Lightroom, super boring. And so you know, with photography on Twitch, I mean, if you look through Reddit, you'll find articles, you'll find posts of like photographers from like 2014, 2013, like, is anyone editing on Twitch? You know, and that's the thing, is like there needs to be those people that will be like consistent to help like continue to bring it, and you know what I mean. And I think the more people that continue to do that, like for you, what's so cool about like this community too is that like as soon as you get your first stream, bro, like just let us know so that like we can all see. And I know in the Twitch photography Discord as well, but like once that happens, then we can all like jump in and say what's up, because you got a lot of knowledge
100%.
and wealth of knowledge to share. Like I'm already like, dude, can we just skip the photos and talk about Instagram and your growth? But that's like another day, or that's all, you know, for your stream or whatever. But there's just so much that like we all have to learn from each other and stuff like that. So I appreciate you coming on.
It has nothing to do with competition. It is all about learning and the process and like hanging out. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't even tell you, like, even the images I sent you, like I have 3, 4, 5 different edits on all those images, and it's all from, you know, connecting with other photographers, figuring out what they're doing. And it didn't
Yeah.
used to be like that. You know, photography used to be super competitive, and it's all about getting the
Mm.
job, and then you're always in competition, so you're basically alone, and it doesn't have to be like that. And I think I found your stream specifically through Shu. Like Shu
Yeah.
was the one that hooked me up with the Discord, and then once I was in the Discord, I was kind of paying more attention, and he kind of went
Yeah.
through that process. I mean, that dude's amazing. Like,
Oh yeah.
just learning about commercial portrait, it's an area of photography that I just don't do, and I
Retouching. Yeah.
just
Same.
you learn
Same.
so much every time.
Heck yeah. He's a legend. There's only two people that I know that started the same. So him, and then Stuart Kirby pops in every now and then, but he's another photographer who started around 2012, 2013, and he's a journalism photographer out in Scotland, you know, and he's, you know, been around since Justin TV, which was Twitch before Twitch. And you know, he's seen everyone come and go and stuff. So, you know, we have, dude, Shu's definitely awesome. And you know, all right, so today we are going to look at the photos, and I had graciously asked you, I was like, save all your critiques for today. And today's goal isn't so much for, you know, I say this every time, you know, don't pull any punches, you know, like if there's something that you don't like about any of the edits that I did, just let me know. And I'm sure, I have a feeling like you're pretty good at just speaking your mind. So, yeah, but I just, you know, want to let you know that we're just interested into hearing your thoughts, you know what I mean? And your opinion and stuff like that. And, you know,
Yeah, let's do it, man. Get ready for the roast.
Yeah, there's a couple times when like I had to do a roast and people came into the chat, they're like, we're expecting a roast, and I'm like, so sorry, because I'm kind of like laid back and like, you know, stuff, and I feel like it can be hard on people, but I guess I still come off as nice. So
the only thing that I'll say, like, you know, we were using different programs to edit the photos. So like I've never used Capture One. So if you put me in Capture One, I would be completely lost. So, you know, I'm watching your stream and trying to learn the processes of One as you're editing my photos. So
yeah,
it's all about
yeah.
me, man.
Here we go. So I'm gonna post your photo, your edit with the raw. So here we got the raw on the left.
I already, like, I hate my edit on this. This is like my least favorite of the pictures that I sent you. Originally, I liked it because there's some bokeh that's coming up from this this flower, but actually I think this is a really good picture to learn about focal distance on. So
Mm-hmm.
if you, this was shot, I think at like 70 to 100 millimeters. And it's a really tiny sort of frame, but if I had like backed up or maybe changed the aperture to like a or a higher number, lower aperture,
Yeah.
and made those flowers a little sharper, it probably would have been better. Other than that, I mean, it's just not that great of a shot. Compositionally, I mean, the subject's in the center, that's fine, but like, I don't know. There's something off, and it's just not. It's not a great raw shot.
Mm-hmm.
The composition just wasn't there for
Yeah,
me.
oh, disclaimer guys. So he's Scott's also cropped everything to 4:5, right? To Instagram.
Yeah, I only shoot
Okay.
4:5. So even if it's a horizontal, like the horizontal Zion shot I sent you, I still crop that to 4:5.
Okay. Yeah, I even for me when I was editing this, you know, I was just thinking, all right, what am I gonna do with this? Yeah.
It's
So
really something you can get creative with too, though.
mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm.
I don't want to put it out there. Like there are techniques I'm sure that some graphic designers could maybe pull out of this. I'm not
Okay.
there at that level yet. So
Yeah.
for me, it's a throwaway.
All right, let me pull up the edit that I came up with, and there it is. And so kind of I grew up in SD and I've experienced all those real foggy coastal, I know this isn't super coastal, but those foggy mornings in LA and everything's just blanked out, and so there really isn't much color and stuff like that. So I guess I just tried to bring out the contrast more and bring out the building more. And to be honest, I didn't even realize how red those flowers, I guess, were on the tree when I was editing and stuff. They just came out pretty dark on my end. But a couple things that I did with this edit was I believe I masked it in two ways. I just masked the sky and then the foreground with the branches here, and then I was kind of able to separate that a bit, and then I added two different presets just to play around with it. But that's what I did.
100%. And the other thing that, like, I don't know if I did it or not, but you want to make sure that the geometry of the building, that horizon line underneath the building, should be straight.
Yep.
And that's something you can do in either Lightroom or Photoshop. I'm sure you can do it in Capture One too, but you want to make sure that that edge where the building meets the ground there, yeah, that horizon line is nice and straight, because otherwise it's going to look crooked. The other
Yeah.
thing I was saying is the bush that has there's like a branch that's basically in the building. You see
This
that
right
it's
here?
like that. Yeah, it's like that bokeh bush that's like covering the right, I guess, dome.
Yeah.
It's just not. Yeah, it's just it wasn't a good raw.
Man. Yeah, I thought I played around with the crop so many times on this. Like I kept going back and forth, and I should have spent more time on it because I'm looking at this too, and it's like the opposite. To here it's leaning left, and then like here it's leaning right. It's like I was just the whole time editing I was going back and forth. But that's one of like the things I always try to do whenever I edit, even if it's like portraits and stuff like that. Like I'll always just try and fix the crop, and but I didn't nail it on this one. Okay, so let me put them together. There we go. So I should have left yours kind of smaller because it was cropped lower. But anyways, very two different takes. I mean, you really brightened yours up a lot when I saw it, and I was like, oh, like I said, I was like, oh, look at these flowers in here. But yeah.
Yeah, I actually like yours better. It was a better mood. The greens are also a little bit darker. Kind of, it's more the morning.
Yeah. And I see what you mean too, like right up here. If I were to like kind of lighten this area up or something like that, not sure how that would have looked with the background, but
I mean, there's so much going on here that I just, yeah, for me, no.
it was a fun, tricky raw that you sent, and it was good to edit. Like, cause that's like one thing too that I always like to say is like, even though like it could be a waste of time, but I like to edit through raws that you probably maybe wouldn't post or something like that maybe aren't the strongest images, but just for the experience of it, I guess,
Yeah, 100%. It's all practice. I mean, I can go back and edit this 3 or 4 different ways, and she was the
Yeah.
best one. I don't know, but I just yeah, I'm not gonna spend much time on this because when the conditions are right, you reshoot it, and then you get the low fog, the right light, the blue hour
Yeah.
with the lights on, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. All right. I wanna talk about the next
you
one.
know,
What bridge is this, or not bridge
that
pier?
is the Manhattan Beach Pier,
Mm-hmm.
and it's shot with I think it's a 12 to 20 or a 12, 10 to 16. I can't remember, but it's a fisheye. It's a
Okay.
fisheye lens. And the big thing that sticks out to me with the raw is if you look at the pier, it's completely distorted. So the challenge here for me is one clean. I mean, the puddle that I shot that in was like very tiny,
Yeah.
like a tiny little puddle in the sand, and it looks huge. And that's what a fisheye does.
Mm.
So um, the technical part of this is if you look at the pier post, they look like they're curved in a circle or whatever, a fisheye. So
Yeah.
taking out that distortion and straightening the pier and the lamp post is very, I think, critical for making this look good.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Yeah.
color and all that stuff, the light, the color. There's some like
Well,
stuff off that post. So
let's go ahead and look at your edit. Are you asking me, Trevor, by the way, about music? Pretzel rocks, my friends. If you guys stream and you're looking for some stream friendly music, Pretzel rocks. Okay. All right, we got your edit here, so I can see that you really cropped in. You got rid of that foam on the left, but I'll let you talk about your edit.
yeah. So this took a lot of there's a tool in Photoshop called it's like a under filter. It's called adaptive wide angle. And you can go in and fix it through adaptive wide angle. So I won't go into detail with
Adaptive wide angle filter in Photoshop.
and you make a new layer, new background layer, and you can go in and you can kind of manipulate the lines similar to the transform in Lightroom.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
I would check it out on YouTube or whatever. There's plenty of tutorials about the adaptive wide angle.
Sick.
I'll type it in
Okay.
the chat for you.
All right, cool.
And you can straighten lines and you can fix things. So for me, that lamppost, if you scroll kind of up, um, the lamppost that's in the middle of the frame, that's like dead center for me. That's what carries the composition. Um,
Mm.
and then so I did some work on the light on that. If you look to the right, you can see a selective edit with the light kind of hitting that lamppost.
Yeah.
To kind of bring it out. And then again on the pier, there's some gradient filters there that selective light. There's definitely radials behind the pier with the sunlight. So you have these warm tones with the cool sky. Um, yeah, that's a pretty typical edit for me.
Yeah.
You start with light and then you go to color and contrast.
Nice. You guys can see how well Scott really corrected this, because you can see how bowed this lamppost is, and then even right here, this is like just protruding out, and then on his edit it's just like a nice straight pier with the lamppost, real nice straight up and down. And dude, these are things I did not look at whatsoever, because I've never used that tool. I don't know about that kind of technique and
100%.
stuff. So I just edited straight with what I had, and so it'd be
No,
interesting to look
100%.
at and
And
hear
then
your thoughts.
you don't know what you don't know. So like I happen to have done this before where the geometry's been off and I've been shooting a lot of urban lately. If you're not
Mm-hmm.
shooting a lot of buildings, you're not going to know about that, right? If you're
Yeah.
shooting a lot of people, that filter doesn't do much for you. But if you're shooting buildings all the time and you're shooting wide and you're shooting up, the buildings always look angled or distorted, and it looks bad if you don't.
So rad, dude. In one thing I've learned from the past too is like I never really cleaned up my landscapes, and then I started doing this, and there was a couple people that came on and they talked about removing objects, because I've always been like a natural photographer, you know what I mean? Like I don't really touch. Oh, it was talking with you, right? Like not touching your landscapes in Photoshop and letting it be natural, but being able to use Photoshop to remove things and to correct things in a way of it enhancing. And then it's not a way of cheating or trying to manipulate, but it's art, because that's what it is, right? You're making art, you're making people see what your artist's vision is and stuff like that. And so to me, I've been slowly coming around with that mentality, and you dropping the knowledge about this geometry stuff, like I definitely want to pay attention to more of that moving in the future.
If you're not clear with your audience, they'll call you out. I'm sure you get that on Twitch, right? Like if you're not clear that you composited an image, you're going to get called out. And I only notice that now because I'm very, when people ask me my editing process, I tell them it's cut and paste. And make sure you cut before you paste or nothing happens. So like I'm very clear that I manipulate images and I composite images and I pull parts and I do whatever I want to do because I just will. It's my thing. But you want to be clear, because if you're putting images out there and you're saying, oh, this is a composite free image, and you replace the sky, then you're lying.
Yeah.
So wherever the line is for you on how much editing you're gonna do, just make it clear with your audience.
Yeah.
Then do whatever you want.
All right, let's check out the edit and hear your thoughts. Okay, so what I did in this, I tried to, again, I knew it was fisheye, so it was gonna be a little tricky to get this thing leveled out. But one of the things that, again, I didn't pay attention to was that bowing in the bridge and the poles and stuff like that. I did kind of clean up a little bit of the foam here in the water and stuff like that. The colors, I try to keep it real minimal and clean. With the sunset, right? This is sunset.
Yep.
So
That's
yeah, what do you think? Yeah, I'm used to the sun rising and setting in the ocean.
I get it, man. You're on an island. You got to go in whatever direction you want to watch stuff happen. Okay. So I actually like the sky color. There's a little green to it. It's not so blue. I like blue. For me, it just drives me nuts. Whether it's daytime or whether it's sunset, whatever, I just don't like the color blue. And I think it's just because I see it all the time. The sky is huge. We're so used to looking at blue that I just hate natural blue. So the raw actually disgusting. Yeah, I think you just need to go through and fix the geometry of the pier, and I would clean up that bit of foam. One thing you could do is move the foam so it's more lined up, so you have this sort of center line that leads you through. But I would just get rid of that foam. It's just distracting. And then fix the pier, because the pier looks like crap. Like it looks like someone's gonna walk over and then they're like going on this roller coaster thing.
Yeah.
It's super uncomfortable, right? Like you want something that's like a serene, sort of nice, cool waves in the ocean, a nice reflect on your life, and then you have this sort of roller coastery pier that's like, whoa. It just takes you out of that mood, right? So I don't like your edit on this at all. Is that roasty enough?
Yeah, that's good enough, bro. That's totally fine.
The color is fine. The other thing is, like, if I was gonna reshoot this, I might move a little bit further to the left and make my own puddle with a bottle of water or something, so that you get more of the end of the pier.
Yeah, I mean, with your edit, and let me put ours together now. Again, I just stretched yours out. It's gonna look kind of whatever, but you guys have seen his edit. One thing I love and I really appreciate about yours is that because you did crop it in and you got rid of that foam, you just really appreciate the sheer clarity of the reflection. And I gotta ask too, you not only corrected the geometry up here but also in the puddle, or did you need to really do much in the puddle?
I didn't. Yeah, no, and I think that, you know, one thing that I'm looking at now is I try to either have open edges or closed edges for balance. And when you look at my edit, you'll see there's that closed edge where the post kind of frames in the image, but on the left it's open.
Ah,
So
yeah.
that's not something that I typically go for. And you'll see that on the Zion edit and the Lisbon, Portugal edit. You'll see those are both closed frames. So I
Yeah.
usually don't do this where it's like one edge is open and kind of goes to nowhere and the other edge is closed. It's just kind of an
Okay.
imbalance.
Okay.
Something to
Um,
think about. Even cropping in further to leave it open, but it might throw it off. The pier, if you open it on the right, that pier will go to nowhere. So you kind of
mhm.
need that post to ground the pier. Like, where does the pier can't just go out of the frame? You need to keep the viewer's eye in the frame. So how do you do
Yeah,
that? You close the frame.
bro. That's good stuff, guys. I hope you're paying attention here, Academy. I am
He's doing
I
challenge.
got my notepad. Gotta write this stuff down. All right. Good stuff. And yeah, man, I definitely gonna have to, double check the geometry and stuff like that. You can see, guys, really like look at Scott's just like this real nice V action going, and then mine's got like this Star Trek like logo looking kind of thing, like all bowed out, thick
You
on the
could put a
bottom.
UFO in the upper left.
Oh man, or like an alien. We'll put Asa right there at the end of the pier. All right,
Yeah.
let's move on to the next. What's up, Brian? Good to see you, man. Okay, so one thing I did notice, I did message you, was the raw was different from your edit that you sent me.
Yeah, I sent you a slightly different raw, and I
Okay.
didn't realize it until after I had sent it, and then I was like, "That's okay," because I took 30 images of these trains, and like, why not have something that's slightly different?
Yeah. Nice. All
And
right. Well,
actually, I mean, it doesn't matter because I would edit both of the raws exactly the same.
yeah.
But this is definitely the most complex. This is the one I'm like kind of prepared to talk about.
All right. I'm stoked. It's funny because when I was editing this, I was like, dude, what the heck is Capture One doing putting this like green cursor or crosshair on my screen? What is that for? But then it was just a, what was it, pharmacy?
The pharmacy, yeah, it's a little
Yeah, the
health.
pharmacy sign. Okay, here's your edit.
Okay. So I was looking on Instagram, and I do that a lot when I want to get inspired for color tones and things like
Uh huh.
that. There is
Hmm.
a guy on Instagram, and this is his thing. He's a Hasselblad ambassador master guy, right? Um, and he does these really whimsical tones. And so what I did was I screenshotted a bunch of his images from his Instagram feed and pulled them up and used them as reference images. And then I went in and did a bunch of edits. Yeah, there's Ben Thomas. So yeah, there were a couple images where that banana one, that is one of my favorite images with the banana and the ice cream cone thing.
Ah, yes.
I use that for this image. So if you pull that into Photoshop, you screenshot it, you pull it into Photoshop, you can do color overlays where you basically do a 50% gray overlay, 50% gray set to overlay. And then you can color over whatever selection you make,
Mm-hmm.
whatever color you want. And then you can, um, yeah, you can manipulate the colors that way. So I did that with the sky, but first you have to replace all those power lines. So I did a ton of cleanup with this, right? Like
Jeez,
all the
dude.
whole top half, all those wires were all a
Wow.
distraction to me. And what
Yeah.
I really wanted was that building in the direct middle to
Yeah.
kind of like center everything, right? And then you use the buildings to close it in, change the colors of the buildings, change the colors of the stars to that yellow that Ben Thomas used, and then you go through and do all the work on those streetcars.
Do
You
you
gotta add
use a tablet or anything like that with your Photoshop?
it's all
Or all
trackpad.
mouse?
I try to.
Trackpad?
It's a trackpad. Yeah, I'm using a trackpad, and
With
then
your
you'll notice
fingers?
there's headlights on the front of the cars. I added the headlights. I changed the text. All that was all done manually. So this is when I said it was a complex edit. This was like a huge sort of edit.
Okay.
Um,
Trackpad. I'm stuck at trackpad. Is it intuitive for you? Do you like that better than with the mouse?
well, yeah, because if I tried to use a tablet, like it would be such a learning curve that I would get frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's insane, dude. That's rad. Huge appreciation to the amount of work that you put into this image.
Yeah, and you
Because
don't need to do that, dude. You definitely don't need to do that. That's why it's like not fair to like compete with people because I'm gonna look at this and I'm gonna say I want to spend 12 hours doing this, and you're gonna look
yeah,
at it, you might not be interested at all. You might want to spend 5 minutes on it, or just go to a different image.
totally, bro. That's huge because nowadays, I mean, you just throw a filter on things and go. Like that's kind of where photography has come to in a way. But it's one thing to also be able to appreciate, to hear the story behind an image and the amount of work that's put into it. Because I honestly was thinking like, I was like, man, where did he get these colors from? It's super bright. And then being able to see the inspiration that you pulled from and the amount of work that you did is making me appreciate this, not as a photo, but more of a piece of artwork hanging in a gallery. You know what I mean? Like I could
100%.
spend all day looking at this now, then versus like scrolling over it on your website or Instagram, like, oh, this is a cool photo. Oh, that's an interesting preset he chose. It's like, no, this guy freaking worked on this like a master painter,
Well, it's
So
crazy because there's so many techniques that like I've invested and like paid money to go get, right, like from different
yeah,
photographers and whatever. And you go to like someone like Ben Thomas who does this with every image, and you see how consistent he is. Then you realize, oh my gosh, he really is a Hasselblad master because look what he just did with 35 images and
yeah.
into a show, and like I'm doing this barely with one, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, yeah, you have a deeper appreciation, I guess.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
a lot.
LH. This Scottalexmills, he's also in the LA area, man. Another guy maybe you guys can hook up and shoot together. I don't know if you
Sure, for
guys
sure.
know. Yeah. Okay. So we'll get on to the edit that I did and then we'll have them side by side. So with this image, the one thing that I was thinking about was, well, I was like, well, what the heck am I going to do with this image? Looking at all the colors and stuff like that, seeing that nice big yellow bus, kind of wanting to make that the kind of center of attention. And I spent a lot of time on this, and I eventually came to that conclusion that I wanted to really darken the shadows in the middle because you've got this real bright light in the back, and then you've got this break in the street where the light's coming through the buildings. So I felt like as this trolley tram is emerging from the shadows, that you're starting to see the bus emerge out of it. So I used a brush, painted in the shadows a bit and lightened the values as it went closer, and then yeah, just tried to kind of mute everything except for the yellows. What do you think?
The yellows need to pop more. You need more saturation up at the sort of that top part with the light.
Uh-huh.
You could have put something around that like 15, that number. I would have gone in and done more detail work here because if you're gonna spend time on an image, the number one thing you should do is make sure that your subject is getting the attention and that your subject has all the
Mm,
detail work. So like
mm,
the detail work here, you could have brought out that 15 more. You could have added headlights. The other thing that you can do with transportation stuff is you can add motion blur.
yeah.
And motion blur is a whole separate thing. Um, yeah, I don't know if I had reshot this, I might have panned or tried to do something a little different. The cleanup on this is extensive, so I don't really expect you to
Yeah.
spend 3 hours cleaning up the image. Um, but yeah, I think it's interesting the contrast that you chose
Mm-hmm.
because you have this bright sunny day, and when you have a bright sunny day, everything should be bright. I guess I was
Yeah.
like, you weren't there, so like I can say
Yeah.
my mood on that day, but it doesn't really help you, right? Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I just think when you get a bright sunny day, you're gonna have harsh contrast, and so
Yeah.
you play with the harsh contrast, which is just a different thought process, I guess. Um, but yeah, I think just in general, when I look at the color of that yellow
It's not
looks
doing it
really
justice.
well. It's like a pale-ish yellow.
Hmm.
I would have probably saturated it just a touch more. Um, yeah, other than that, I don't know. It's fine, I
Yeah,
guess.
no worries.
The shadows are really dark, but I understand why you did that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, like, it's not something that I'm gonna be like super critical of.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, I think the edit makes sense for what you were going for. That's
Yeah.
another thing. If you are going, you make sure that when you're editing something that you're going for something. Don't just edit blindly and like wait for something cool to happen because
Hmm.
it never
Hmm.
will. Like take a look and analyze the image and like figure out what's the mood you want, where's the subject. You know, you should be asking these questions. Otherwise, you're just blindly editing and it will just no one will understand it.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like I was doing that for a lot of this image, and you even chimed in and stuff about having, moving on from this or coming back to it, and I was going through that. I was just kind of like, what the heck am I doing with
100%.
this,
I did. I
and go ahead.
edited this 12 times. I edited this exact image and I didn't like it. That's why I went back to the one with two cars.
Okay,
I
12
just
times. That's crazy.
at least, I mean, this is a what I did this trip back in December, January.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 6 months of it sitting around, playing around, not liking it, coming back, and that's okay. You know,
Hmm.
no one's forcing you to like post images right away on Instagram.
Yeah. And
So
have you, during this whole quarantine lockdown, have you been going back over your old photos and re-editing old shots and things like that?
yeah, I just did that with Zion.
Oh,
That was the
okay.
next thing I sent you. So nice segue.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. Oh, sorry. This was just to compare both of them, but we can obviously like the difference with the colors and the two color. I should have brought this up when we are talking about that, but all
Yeah,
right.
that building on the right is just I freaking love that building on the right. I don't know
Dude,
why, just like it just yeah.
gorgeous. I really like thanks for sharing the Instagram artist as well. And
Yeah,
you
I
know,
sent him a shout out when I posted this and he actually
mm,
commented. That was pretty that
no
made my day.
way. That's so sick, dude.
I was like, bro, you're awesome. Thanks. Dude, to be honest, I hated his work when I first came across it.
Hmm.
Like I had to come back to it. I was like, man, I really don't like this. This looks bad and like I mean, to have such a visceral reaction and then to come back and then use those tones and like that sort of vibe is I don't know. I mean, that's another way that Instagram just, is awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go on to this last image here. Um, so you pulled this image from yours, yeah? You just cropped it in the
Yeah, it's the
or was
same
this
raw. This is the essentially the same raw. I replaced the sky,
okay?
completely replaced the sky because it's a
Oh,
fairly easy once you crop, it's a fairly easy uh actually I don't know. There's a tree on the right here in the raw, so maybe this is a different raw.
I was
I
gonna
don't know.
say this
The
the
water
long exposure looks a little different.
the water looks different too. So I don't know. They were taking it this on the same day at the same time. Maybe they're just
Yeah.
slightly. It looks like the one on the left might have been taken a little bit earlier because the shutter speed's looks longer,
Mm,
right? The water, smoother water.
yeah.
At the end of the day, they're similar.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
No,
I had other people come on and they sent me the different raws and they're like, "Oh, I sent you the wrong one," and they would send it last minute. I'm totally fine with you just rolling with
I
this
don't.
because
It's the same. It's the same comp. I would have cropped it the same. I
yeah.
edited this one quite a bit too. Um, yeah, this was a complete sky replacement. Um,
Hmm.
and then color overlays with the water because the water was brown.
Okay. Um, what camera did you shoot this with?
This was a Canon 6D. This was shot maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago.
Okay.
Um, and this is one of the most popular spots to shoot from in Zion National Park.
Is this a bridge
Yeah, you're
that you're
standing
on?
on the bridge.
Okay.
So you drive across the bridge and go through the canyon, but everyone stops at the bridge, and usually there's 20 photographers with their cameras lined up.
Oh man.
Um, it's just super popular, but actually, it's not as popular during sunrise, which is when I was here. It's a
Ah.
sunset spot because the light will come over that hill to the right and hit the Watchman. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
way more popular at sunset. Um, and it's sort of an iconic national park spot that's very common. You'll see a lot of it on Instagram if you follow landscape people.
Yeah.
Um, so how do you do that differently? I don't know. I mean, this is just a standard shot. Actually, like I still don't love the colors in this edit. I think I would reshoot this completely differently. Probably if I went there again, I'd probably find a different angle, find some
Yeah.
foreground, find something else. Um,
Hmm.
it's a very standard, everyone's done it kind of shot.
Yeah.
Um,
And the thing you talked about earlier when we're talking about the bridge is the open frame. Is that what you said?
yeah, so you can see it's still closed, right? Like you have the
Yeah.
tree closing it on the right and the canyon closing it on the left. So this is definitely a closed frame.
Mm, okay. Okay. And
And
so yeah.
that's not anything that's like technical
Yeah.
or anything that like your art teachers in school are going to teach you about. It's just something that I notice and something that I look for, I guess. How do I
Hmm.
want to move your eye through my frame,
Hmm.
so to, and how do I want to?
I like that.
So you'll see when I'm doing contrast or when I'm working with light, what do I want to be the subject? That's going to be bright. What do I want not your eye? What do I want your eye to ignore? That's going to be darker. And I
Yeah.
actually don't even like high contrast dark shadows as much anymore as I did a month ago.
Hmm. It's like
So
this.
your eye changes. I don't know, things change. But
Yeah.
a lot of luminosity masking in this image as far as like the technical part goes. So I use
Yeah.
luminosity masks where it will select the brightest areas of your image and you can mask those out, or you can select the darkest areas or the midtones and you can brush in your light that way. And there's lots
Wow.
of tutorials about that out there too. Um,
Yeah. All right.
so just, I don't know, stuff to think about.
All right. So I've driven through places like this. I've seen the color and the dirt and how beautiful and colorful it is, but because of this cloud cover and stuff, and then when I was changing the white balance and stuff like that, seeing it was I decided to go with more of like a cloudy day look kind of thing because the river is brown and stuff like that. So I kind of darkened a lot of things except for these trees, and it's just kind of like that muted look. But what I kind of try to do with this is make certain things pop out in brighter images, like the canyon back there with the mountains, and then the river, and then like little splotches right here, the ground or the trees. But yeah, I mean, I didn't want to try and just like push those reds that the soil and the rocks were. Try to
This is
do something
totally the
different.
opposite thinking of what I would normally think about.
Uh huh.
But if I was shooting a landscape shot, this is a better composition. There's not
Mm-hmm.
as much river, right? When you're in 4x5, you're looking at a lot of water. But when you're in this sort of wide format, that tree on the right really sticks out to me. That big
Mm,
tree. I love that big tree. Other way, yeah, the one on the right, like the tall
mm,
one. Um, I love that tree, and if you can add some contrast to really make those that tree, the tree in the middle, the mountain in the background, and then the left, if you really put some effort into those trees, like this
mm,
image is really gonna pop. And then
mm,
maybe adding some sort of vignette to kind of draw you to the back.
mm.
But yeah, I mean, this is not a bad edit for the time you spent on it. You need to
Yeah.
replace that sky entirely. I hate, and actually the sky that I put in mine, I'm not in love with. I don't like. It looks like a different shutter speed than the water.
Yeah.
But I actually like your edit better.
Mm,
I think you need more contrast in it. I
mm.
think you need a light source. I think the mountain is too bright, but I mean, little details you can fix for sure if you
Wow.
spend, more time. But it's not a bad edit at
Yeah.
all.
One thing I was gonna ask about, and I was gonna ask the Academy was how many of you guys have replaced skies before? Because I mean, to be honest, I've yet to replace a sky, and I just maybe it's just because I haven't had the software or what, but I've always like I said, for me, I've always come from that place of like wanting to leave things naturally and untouched. But I'm more coming around to the idea of replacing things and retouching things, especially when it comes to these landscapes and Instagram. Instagram from like the last 5 to 8 years that like I've been on, seeing the game being heightened and the caliber of images that are really out there on Instagram is like insane, and it just you don't get there unless you do those types of replacements, right? Adding like airplanes or skies and things like that. um
There, go
I don't
ahead.
know, what are your thoughts on that? How long you've been replacing skies and stuff like that?
This is the first sky replacement I've done in
Oh.
a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, you're looking for the right conditions, the right skies. And I
Mm-hmm.
have dozens and dozens of great skies with no composition in front of me. And it's tough because to be the best, you have to be able to do it all
Yeah.
and make those choices for yourself. And ultimately, you put it up and see what people like. But the, the, it's tough. You're in a national park and you've spent money and you've driven out there and you've done all this, you've made all this effort to get there and you get a shitty sky. What do
Mm.
you do then?
Yeah,
So
that's a good point.
it's you make a choice. Do you want to be the best or do you want to keep things the way they are and feel the mood out and do that? And like,
Yeah.
this is where it comes it's almost like a film digital conversation too. Because if you're
Yeah.
shooting film, you're not replacing skies. You're using the film quality and you're getting the shot technically.
Yeah.
That in that way I think film is more of an art. But I don't know, man. It's replacing
I was
skies. It's such a loaded question.
one thing Enraged said, and maybe we can talk about this, but do you feel like it's sort of pandering to the masses, like editing? So let's not talk about pandering, but let's talk about like editing for likes. And I know that you've got quite a big following on Instagram and stuff. Do you ever have the pressure where you feel like you need to edit for likes, or have you just always been straight on posting whatever the heck you wanted to post, kind of thing? Or
100%. To be
okay.
completely honest, 100% have definitely changed things, manipulated things for the likes and the
Yeah.
follows. 100% for
And
going for.
it's worked out for you. You got your job from it,
Well,
and among other things.
but I think more important than that, like I met other photographers who became friends, and like
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
we can go back and forth, but Yeah, I mean, I'm somewhere in the middle enraged. I definitely feel you on the replacing skies. I definitely understand the pandering to the masses. I totally get that. And everyone should do themselves 100%.
Hmm.
Um
Hmm.
yeah, I go back and forth. I try not to. You try not to
Yeah.
manipulate everything, but I definitely
Better.
didn't like
Yeah.
the sky here, and I edited it with the sky that's there and didn't like it. So ultimately I just changed it. Um
Allison, hear me out. Is owning a successful photography business not partially to create work that people want to purchase? That's so true. Um,
Great point.
totally, totally. And it's the same thing with Instagram. Like, I mean, if you are setting out to grow and get a huge following on Instagram and stuff, it shouldn't be out of your mind to think that you're gonna create work that people like, and pandering to. That's okay, Um, but I'm just, it's such a great conversation to have, and I'm glad that we're able to have this. And my experience being here on Maui and stuff, I'll legit say that I've always been one to try and keep things natural, but there were the sunsets that sucked. There were the times that were like that, and I always have looked at other Hawaii photographers stuff and like, wow, how did they get that shot? Oh, they did a composite, or they did that. Oh, that's cheating. Oh, that's junk. Do people know that that's a fake image? But I've kind of come around in my mindset of like, that's smart. Like, that's artistry. That's being a creator. That's what it's being all about, rather than knocking them for doing that. That's awesome that they did it and they took those strides to do that and stuff like that. So I
Well,
don't know.
the
For
other
me,
thing,
it's been a journey.
what's your goal? Because my goal was to make friends and get better at Photoshop and become a better landscape urban photographer. My goal is
Hmm.
never to make a business. It's not to sell prints. If you're a landscape photographer and your business is selling prints, you're not going to have a very successful business because you're not going to be selling enough prints to make it work. the
Mm,
the money in photography is in shooting weddings and people and real estate and brand work and those things. And if your goal is that, then you're not going to have an Instagram feed that looks anything like mine. I am 100% the most inconsistent poster in terms of my feed. I'm posting nature and urban and trains and random edits with that, and that's just me and my own personal space to experiment and play and replace skies and manipulate color and put aliens in. But
yeah.
if you're trying to make money, you have to do
Yeah.
something that is different
Yeah.
than what I'm doing. So you're talking about two different things, and
Hmm.
most people who are making money in photography, the Tom Hoops of the world, the shoes of the world, they're shooting people.
Yeah.
You're not gonna edit people with sky replacements.
Yeah.
So,
This is good stuff to
photography is
talk
not
about,
fun.
because when you have a beginner photographer just joining, or getting into this, especially with social media, I can't really speak on behalf of like high school photography teachers, but I'm not sure how much high school photography teachers teach their class about social media and photography on social media, because social media is such an ingrained part of our lives that if I were getting to photography right now, say I'm like 13 or 14, I've grown up with social media. I've grown up knowing Instagram is this photography media powerhouse, and that as a photographer, you need an Instagram account, or you know what I mean? Like, you work in Lightroom, right? I've never, probably growing up in high school, probably will never step in a dark room unless the photography class has one. But so growing up in this day and age and stuff like that, to be able to touch on these subjects and not be out of date, because you've got high school teachers probably still like preaching film, when like film is great, but like look how far we've come. And are these teachers kind of out of touch with that. And so, sorry, I know we're going on a
No, it's
bunny
100%
trail, but
true though. Like
it's
I
I
remember
think
my
it's
photography
really
classes too. They didn't even
uh
have social media really.
yeah. Kiki, at this point, high schools are teaching the teachers. Totally. And so I'm sure there's high school teachers that have caught on and have changed things around, but the how fast technology and social media has changed comparison to like, I guess like the old school people or whatever, trying to transition. It's so fast, and so it needs to be talked about, because if we're getting new photographers in here and now they're struggling with like identity and value in themselves and their work because they're comparing themselves wrong, right? We're talking about two different things, but they just see your profile and you're doing successful and they're doing something wrong, but they don't know that you're photoshopping these things. That's such a good way for you to learn. Like once you get Twitch and you start, once you got your PC and you start really teaching and stuff like that, it's really cool to be able to talk about these things.
100%. It's 100% about the techniques. It's not about whose picture is better today. It's 100% about what were you going for and
Uh-huh.
did you achieve it. If you were going for muted tones and a feeling of muted tones, did you get there? Do you feel like you got there?
Uh-huh.
And for something short like this, sure. But like, if do you feel comfortable with your own work and hanging it on a wall in a gallery? Do you feel like you would give this picture to a client? Do you,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? You're asking those questions. It's different. I just think it's different.
And everyone in the chat too, it's so good. I appreciate all of you guys' opinions, and you fire them out. It's okay to agree or disagree and stuff like that, but to be able to have these conversations is, I think, it's super cool, and I appreciate all your insight, Scott.
Well, there's just a
Usually,
gap. There's a
what was that?
gap.
Oh yeah.
There's a big gap between what used to be considered photography and photographers competing. And I remember being in dark rooms where the old men were smoking their cigarettes and would come out and just look at my piece, and I'd ask them what they thought, and they would be like, "That's shit." And it's different now. Now you're collaborating with other photographers, you're shooting with other photographers, you're having discussions with other photographers. That's what causes community to grow. And it's so anti what's happening in the world right now, right? Like the
Yeah.
world is getting more polarized, and here we are having better, more interesting conversations.
Yeah. I'm just glad this hasn't reached Yo Mama jokes amongst the chat. That would have been Yo Mama jokes. Did you ever watch that show Yo Mama? It's like on MTV or something like that. I don't know. But all right, so usually we kind of go back through and then you just give me a grade on things. Do you want to do that? We don't have
No,
to.
not at all. I thought you
All
did
right.
fine. Fine.
But all right, man. Well, dude, Scott, thank you so much for coming on and doing this. Was this what
Such a
you
pleasure.
expected it to be or what?
Dude, such a pleasure to be here. Love the questions, love the comments. Just keep doing you, man. At the end of the day, it's about growing, and dude, you're just killing it. So
Hey.
entertaining, so fun. Love going to work and like sneaking onto Twitch to see what's going on. Like
Uh-huh.
in the
Uh-huh.
office, coming over, like, what are they
Yeah,
talking about?
dude.
Is that hyping? What's up?
Yeah, that's why I try and keep these VODs to like, that's why I keep my streams to like 2.5 to like 3 hours, man, because there's some streams that could go for 6 hours. It's like, oh crap, I have to rewatch 6 hours. But whenever you guys can
That's a
pop in
question
and
I have
stuff,
for you,
Yeah.
because how do you stay consistently doing a stream that's entertaining and fun for 4 hours a day, 5 days a week? Like, it's such a commitment. And like, for you to be hosting this and doing this and bringing people on and getting the community going is like, you're gonna see this grow. Like, I just see this as a wave that's just starting, and like it's just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. And like, I'm so excited to see where this goes. And I'm so thrilled to like be kind of early in the wave, because usually I'm late to the party.
Dude, I appreciate that a lot. I really
So
appreciate that.
I'm thrilled. I love the people that are streaming in chat that are doing it. I know Deeps was doing gaming or whatever. Just keep going. Like, people will catch on.
I will say, man, when I started in March, I actually wanted to start a YouTube channel, and we have it, but I started a YouTube channel and I started streaming on YouTube and Twitch, and I stopped streaming on YouTube once I hit affiliate on Twitch because I don't know, I didn't find it really, no one was really watching on YouTube. And if you look at it, there's so many photographers and videographers on YouTube, so many. And like, what's my channel? What's another freaking photography channel gonna be like? And I just wanted to come at it as an angle of like, I don't want to do tutorials. I don't want to do digital photography school, 10 tips on how to do better bokeh photos. You know how many freaking articles written on that kind of stuff? I want to just more hang out and just discuss and kind of bring Camera Club just kind of online and talk about things, you know, and poke fun at brand wars and things like that. And I've always just been kind of an optimistic guy, and you know, I love just hanging out and celebrating each other's wins and stuff. You know, I know you can totally relate to this, Scott, but like your office or your laptop, like my little den, my office area, like this is where I learned photography, and no one's there with you. You're doing it alone, you know? And so to be able to like invite people to your place of how you do your workflow and how you edit is like pretty cool now, you know, to do this thing. And Twitch is cool because you can raid and host and do funny emotes and stuff. I think YouTube's on its way. Like if you're looking into live streams, YouTube's definitely a great viable option.
I think
But
as you're growing, you're gonna want to do some sort of YouTube, because you said the discoverability here on Twitch is like garbage, but the discoverability on YouTube is huge. So you want to like connect those two somehow. I mean, that's something I've thought about too. I mean, you know me, I'm just like a fame whore, so I'm like out to get those follows and those likes, and you know. You gotta keep too.
Well, if you need any help, man, or you get your PC built, let me know. I'll help you out. I had to spend a lot of trying to optimizing Lightroom and stuff to live stream, but
I've already tried a couple. So if you go to my channel right now, you're gonna get garbage. But at some point, like we'll get on and I will have my screen up with Photoshop up, and I will go through these layers and the processes.
All right. So let me put you on the big screen, and then you can just say goodbye to everyone. I really appreciate all of your wisdom and knowledge and review and critique, dude.
Just go shoot. Doesn't matter. Shoot Nikon, shoot Canon, shoot Sony. Doesn't matter. Just go shoot. Shoot. Shoot
something. All right. With a camera. Oh,
yeah.
Disclaimer. Just kidding.
Wow. This went down a different road.
All right, man. We'll catch you later, and we're gonna have to do this again sometime. Would you be open if I sent you some images and I could just see you work your magic on them, or what?
Absolutely, man.
And then we could get you back on here, and you could show us what you did. All right.
Anytime. Love you, chat. We'll see you guys out there.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Later.
Man. We'll bring you back in here soon.
Yeah.
Awesome. Guys, what did you guys think? I got Scott's Instagram here. Definitely go hit him up on Instagram. Appreciate that guy.